Hello guys, it's Sam here, and today we are going to talk about who you should be picking in the third part of the Lantern Rite Festival, aka the Stand By Me part of the event. In this video, we will first be going through the list from the left to the right, talking about who you might want to consider if you don't own any of these characters, or alternatively, if you own all of these characters, who you might want to consider pick up based on the constellation you own for the specific case. But first of all, in my opinion, who you really should be picking should be someone which you really enjoy his or her gameplay, or someone that you think you will be using all the time. I'm not going to rate any of these characters because I honestly think all of them are viable to clear all contests, and I know myself is biased towards some of the character. So let's talk about Xiangling. Personally, I think Xiangling is a fantastic character which provides so much support value to your team if your main DPS is prio like the Luke, Klee probably for the upcoming character, aka the number 2 waifu, Hu Tao, for me anyway. For Xiangling, I personally use her as my support before I got the only 6-star character in the game, Bennett, which I used him since I got C1. So the reason Bennett is able to fill her role is that not only the Bennett can buff up the Luke's damage by a large margin, he can also heal the team, which means you can add one more burst support in your team, which means more overall damage. And that being said, I still think Xiangling is still a good pyro support, especially with the upcoming 5-star character release, Hu Tao. I'm gonna make a bold prediction in here that saying Xiangling will become top tier pyro support with the addition of Hu Tao. I know I could be wrong, but because nothing is confirmed at this moment about Hu Tao, but I think Hu Tao is a character who can become amazing when she's low HP, at least from what I understand right now. She do not need a healer because she can heal herself. We might be talking about this in a future video, but for now I just gonna say, in my opinion, Xiangling is a good pickup if you lack a pyro support, or maybe you have a plan to get Hu Tao no matter what, just like me. As for Xinyao, I'm sorry for your Xinyao main here. I think she got outshined by the likes of Xiangling and Bennett. When she was released, I looked at her constellation. I was thinking the dev team in MiHoYo has an argument when they were developing this character. Some of her constellation are giving herself a buff to become main DPS, while some are shedding enemy physical resistance to provide support value for any physical carry. While I don't have much experience of using her, I would think this might not be an ideal pickup if you don't have her at all from a power ranking perspective. But if you think she's your waifu, I mean go for it, man. Next up is Beidou, which works insane as a burst support, but also a great DPS in high constellation. Beidou at the moment is only character in the game who can counter attack to do massive damage. Not only that you can do this by just building her as a support, which means less resources needed, which for anyone who tried to get a character from 80 to 90, you will have known this. The amount of resource like EXP and Mora to get there is ridiculous. And leaving her as a support means you can stay at level 70 or even 80, which means so much resources saved. I don't know about you, but I personally think counter attack is so amazing. It's just such a great feeling to have when you actually counter attack. And if you lack an electro support, and you might want to consider her. As for main TPS, I don't have much experience of using her in that role, so I can't really talk about that. But I heard from high constellation, like a minimum of C4, she could be amazing. So now, it's time for the dream girl, who is rich enough to give you all the primal gems in the world, so you can whale in every single banner, Ning Guang. I think if you're new to the game and you don't have a main DPS yet, this would be a perfect pickup. Ning is an amazing DPS who can deal massive damage with low investment. She can always be praised about the DPS she can pump out since the beginning of the game launch. With the recent buff to the Geo Resonance, lowering enemy Geo resistance, when you have two of the Geo character in your team, she become even more insane than she already is. She can also be fit into a quick swap team where you can run Zhongli and link together to do some quick burst damage. For Xinkyu, I don't think I need to even talk about how broken this character is as a burst support, and there has been numerous showcase like showing how insane his damage is when you pair him up with the likes of the Luke or like Klee or any main DPS prio character. First of all, he's a water type, which means he can proc Vaporize when you pair him up with a pyro unit. The way it works in Genshin is that Vaporize and Melt has the biggest scaling out of all the elemental reaction, which is part of the reason why he's so good. Similar to Xiangling, I think he's a great support for Hu Tao too, so definitely consider him if you lack a burst support for Hu Tao maybe, if you're gonna pull for her. Lastly is Chongyun, aka the Luke's biggest weapon. I think Chongyun is a great cryo burst support, who is insanely good when you pair him up with the Luke or any other Claymore user who doesn't use physical damage as their main source of damage. For anyone who don't know, Chongyun can give any Claymore or Ponam user 8% attack speed when he casts E, which is his elemental skill. I think this benefits Claymore user more than like Ponam user naturally because like Ponam user just have natural attack speed that is so high that it's not needed. So also when Chongyun casts his elemental skill, he creates a circle and turn any of your normal melee attack into cryo type. As we mentioned earlier, Melt is one of the biggest scaling elemental reaction. So when you pair him with the Luke, you can proc Melt so often, which makes the Luke so insanely OP if it's not already OP. So therefore I think for anyone who have the Luke but do not have Chongyun, you can consider pick him up. So now we're gonna go through the constellation for each character and discuss the constellation that provide huge power spike for the character, so you might want to pick them up. For Xiangling, I would say her C1 and C4 is insane, and her C6 is also quite good. Her C1 gives her fire resist reduction, which is one of the most valuable stats you can get in this game. Her C4 gives her increased ult duration, which is her main source of damage, so this is definitely insane. However, for C6, I think it's definitely good to have 15% extra pyro damage for your whole team, but I don't think it's a game changer compared to C1 and C4. For Xinyan, I think having C4 will be good as a support to shed some of the enemy physical resistance if you plan to pair her up with the likes of physical melee carry like Razor. However, I think you will need C6 for her to be good in a main DPS role, to rely on her charge attack to deal more damage. For Beidou, I would say C1 is what you need to give you the extra shielding you need as a burst support, but C4 is what you need as a minimum if you want to run her as a main DPS, as it gives you extra electro damage. I think C6 is the most insane constellation for her though, as it gives you electric resistance, reduction. I just don't want to talk about it anymore, like how broken that is. For Ning, a lot of people has been saying C1 is the way to go as it gives you enough AoE to deal damage, but I think actually C2 is what you need, as it gives you so much, like, the rotation of spell that you have to cast, like, when you have C2, like, between C2 and C1 is so different. Like, it's just too good to have C2 compared to C1. Other than that, like, C6 is actually so good, like, it gives you so much burst after you cast your elemental burst. So consider as C2 and C6 is what I'm gonna suggest. For Q, I think C2 and C6 is what you need. C2 gives you water resistance reduction, which again is insane. I don't want to talk about that. C6 is what you get. I mean, at C6 you get more energy recharge, which I think is really good with him. Like, I tested myself, and with 210 energy recharge, it's still not enough to get enough energy back. If you if you run him without like a sacrificial sword, so you don't generate enough energy for you to have like 100% uptime for your elemental burst, which is why I think having C6 to give you those extra orbs of energy is what you need. But I personally haven't had him at C6, so I couldn't really comment on that. Maybe some of you will have no, and then maybe you want to comment in the section below. For Changyong, I think C2 and C6 is all you need. Let me go. So I think for C2 it gives you your whole team for CDR cooldown reduction, which means you can cast the spell more often. But however, I'm not sure if it's just me or like for everyone, like it doesn't really seems to matter after I got it. So maybe you can tell me what you think again. At C6, it gives you so much more burst potential. At least this is what I heard from my friends with more experience of him. So this is all my thoughts for the constellation. With that being said, I have gone over all my thoughts about the characters on who you might consider picking up under different conditions. I hope you enjoyed the video, as this is my first video guide video I made like ever. If there are any suggestions on how I would make future videos, please comment down below. If you like the video, please consider subscribe to the channel and put the notification bell on. Also, if you think you have different opinions about the character than mine, comment down your thoughts below and we can have a discussion together. I think the next video I'm planning to talk about Fu Tao in terms of her team building and like the artifacts and weapon. I think is best for her. Once again, thanks for watching, and I wish everyone can pull their wanted character in the next 10 pull.